did see a slight increase in concessions, $360, up from $2,250 last year to $2,610 this year. The increase is slight, and I think that it points to the fact that we're giving concessions for the same things. We're maintaining a steady standard for offering those concessions that we do allow.
What do you mean, rent reduction? You had to lower the rent? I didn't think you
Yes.
lowered the rent at all.
Well, which one we
1304
did,
Preston
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
1117 Preston
Okay.
House.
There was like one Ash Tree townhome.
We did a loss leader over there.
And that added up to $12,000?
Rugby Max
Over the
Suite.
year.
And a Rugby Max.
No, Rugby McIntyre Suite was a dramatic.
The 1304 Preston was
So
too,
3 or
right?
4 of it
Yeah.
added up to 12, that's
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
But, I mean, one of the things that you guys don't have in here is the vacancy saved by term leases. That $1,100 increase and your
yeah.
concessions
Yeah.
of $360, when you can sell
Yeah,
a
sure.
term lease,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's
Huge.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
What a great success story.
So my next bullet is perhaps one of the more impressive numbers in this section, is that we were able to increase rates over set rates manually by $28,056.
A little eternal LRO.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna do it again.
And that's up $20,000 from last year, where we were only able to increase $7,800.
That's great.
Great job.
That's
So
great.
that's over and above what
What
we
was
went into
the
the
set
season.
rate?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's,
Like,
That was
seeing an
Mallory,
opportunity and pushing.
those Mallory running around going, increase those, increase those, increase those.
Yeah, Mallory and Brian did a great job
Yeah.
of staying on top of that.
Yeah. Good.
So following that, our
great.
GP at student communities saw an increase of 2.76% this year, and that's in part due to those manual increases. I do want to note that that's without the 500 Brandon numbers. UVA Foundation held off on leasing those until the March.
That's so fair.
Without, yeah, that doesn't include it. So without 500 Brandon, it was a 3.54% increase at our student communities, which is great as well. And our professional properties did just as well this year, coming in at a 3.34% overall GP increase. That is all I have.
Great job.
Now we're on to the next. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over some of the new stuff that we did this past leasing season. So first, I'm gonna go over a couple of renovations that we did. We renovated 708C at Oxford Hill, one-bedroom apartment, and we were able to get $1,000 for the renovated unit, which was $85 more than the rates we had set in the fall, which was, so it went up from $915 to $1,000. The Woods 9B, we did a renovation over there, and we were able to get $100 more than a standard unit at the
That was
Woods.
great.
It's beautiful over there now. And then we also currently have a Woods Lodge, which Woods Lodge D is undergoing renovations that'll be done tomorrow. So I don't have any photos of that. That one was gonna be $655 if the person had renewed, and so we actually were able to increase to $800. So we got
Have they moved in yet?
$145. The lease starts tomorrow.
Love
Ooh, we need to get out there today.
Oh, it's not ready
It's
today,
not
I don't
ready.
think.
But Stephen will go tomorrow.
Yeah,
They moved
Stevens
it
already
in
said.
tomorrow.
Yeah, at noon.
It's a no day, it's not even close to it.
They may have 30 minutes in which to get us that shot. He only needs 5 minutes.
Well,
We're a 30-minute drive time.
tell him to be poised, that's the problem.
So we also took on a bunch of new communities over the past year. The biggest one, of course, being our new construction Burnett on Elliott. So these photos here are our furnished model that we had, and then these two over here are just some photos from our open house. Our open house was a huge success. We were able to get the furniture for free from Court Furniture. Miso Suite donated food, and after the open house, we only had one apartment left that we had to rent.
That's awesome.
And then we were able to be fully leased on February 12th of this year.
And you
Good
guys
job.
set that thing up yourselves quickly
Yeah.
and took it down.
It was so
Bree and Jamie did a
Bought
the
all
whole
that
thing.
stuff,
It was
took it back.
awesome.
Yeah, we were like, this is a very large return.
Our husbands yelled at us, we have to bring it on back.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
everything we bought to accessorize that was from TJ Maxx on the company card, and we returned everything. We left the tags, stickers, everything, and just returned it. I mean, it was very shady, but it was. Thank you, HomeGoods.
When I walked through, when they were there on Saturday, I like placed things so the labels.
Yes.
They're like, don't move it.
Yeah.
Oh, it looked great.
It looks beautiful.
So the other communities that we took on this year, we took on 4802 Deer Park Lane, which was a 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom house out in Earlysville, and we leased that March 16th. 1705 GPA, so 2 3-bedroom
That looks pretty
apartments.
It looks just like that on the inside too.
But it's a great location, guys. It's a great location. So we were able to finish leasing that July 15th, and then we have the 4 new 2-bedroom townhomes over on Sunset Avenue that have been fully renovated. We finished leasing those on
They look
July
great.
6th. And then 817B Cabell Avenue is a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom, lower level of a duplex. We have been leasing A, but the owner was living in B, and so now he's moved out and wants us to rent that. We still are trying to get that leased. As you know, 4 bedrooms are really difficult to rent when you're not in the right season, but we're currently offering a $1,000 signing bonus, and we hope to be finishing that up soon. So both Bree and Maggie touched on this a little bit earlier, but this past year we did something new where for our really popular communities we set a really early deadline. So we actually had our first renewal deadline before we signed any new leases. So that's Point, Wortland, Fred, Rugby, Chancellor, 30U Circle. The first renewal deadline was before anybody could sign leases. So that cut out a lot of our contingency leases, which was a huge success. So when residents come to the office to sign a lease, they know that they're getting the apartment, as opposed to before where it was very unclear about the process and people sometimes would switch between 2 and 3 apartments. Now when they sign a lease, they're really excited because they know that they've got that apartment. This photo is the girls who signed the 6-bedroom at 1701. They were really excited. They had camped out the night before.
It really freaked me out.
Well, they were here when Pam got here. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
They had pillows and blankets and stuff.
Oh, yeah, there was,
They have blankets.
Back to the good old days.
it wasn't just
Hey,
that.
I love Camp Out.
There was a lot of people.
That's
Yeah.
because we had
Yeah.
a date.
Yeah, and we have
didn't do
a
the
I
songs.
know,
Yeah.
the date's good.
we have a date this year as well.
I haven't
So.
seen that in so long though, when we walked up to the office. I
Well,
was
we
like,
stopped doing it to date.
Come on.
Well, we stopped doing it the year they were over there, and it was like a cold and a rainstorm, and everybody got sick, and there were hundreds of people outside, and it was like, oh my God, everybody was upset. We just did the song, but it's okay. Let's just, it's earlier, it's a lot earlier.
It also makes our current residents a lot happier. So with the contingency leases, we had a lot of people who wanted to live at the Point going and knocking on people's doors, and we had people trying to convince people to renew and add them onto the lease and screwing other people out of their leases. And so it just overall is a much better experience for both new and current residents. And for us, we have a lot fewer canceled leases. So we saw a 44% drop in the amount of canceled leases that we had. So that cuts down on doing duplicate work for us. That number would have been even lower had we been leasing 500 Brandon, because 400 Brandon, we saw a huge jump in the amount of contingency leases over there because people couldn't sign at 500. They signed a lot of contingency leases at 400. But overall, the early renewal deadline was a huge success, and we definitely are going to be doing that again this year.
I'm glad you, Dean, we've talked about that a lot. So I'm glad you explained that. Thank you.
Of course. So our miraculous move-in, we switched it up this year, and we had Indigo, who was our resident ambassador. She's great. So she went around and she hand-delivered all of our move-in gifts to our residents. So our move-in gifts this year, they were like essentials kits, toilet paper, paper towels, soap, that kind of stuff. And people really loved having her out and about in the communities. They could ask her questions if they had questions. She said she even sometimes would help people move stuff if they were in a tough spot. And she told us one story, which I love, is that she had knocked on a door in an apartment, and it was like a girl and her mom, and she was like explaining the move-in gift, and the mom was like, "Oh my God, do you have toilet paper in there?" And she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, thank God." And so she was just really excited because they didn't have So Indigo was also in charge of our express move-ins, which was a new thing that we did this year, which allowed everyone, not everyone, people that participate in communities to complete all their move-in paperwork online, so that when they came to the office, they were able to just pick up their keys, sign for their keys, and go. So that was a big success. We had 81 people request to do the move-ins. 54 express move-ins were completed. There was a time frame that people had to do it in, so that Indigo could make sure to get things done. So if they missed the time frame, we couldn't do it, or if they didn't have a zero balance, they had to pay a zero balance in order for us to do that as well. So that's why not everybody who requested it was able to do it, but those who were able to do it, they loved it. We started the summer with Preston Square and Murphy McIntyre, and Indigo felt like she could take on more. So in July, we added Ashtree and Cambridge Square.
It also relieves them from coming into you guys.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's great.
We really want to expand the program next year, and I've talked with Indigo a lot about how does she think that that would go, because she's the one that's really been doing it. And she said she thinks it's definitely possible for us to do it everywhere, but we would need probably 2 people to do the gifts and the
Would she come back?
express move packets. She asked me could she come back. So I think she will. I guess it just kind of depends what happens. But she did already ask me if she could have the job again next summer.
Well, it sounds like a great program to continue,
Yeah.
so 2 people would be
She
fine.
can train
And her personality is perfect.
Yeah.
She's great.
That's the key,
Perfect.
you have to have the right
She's
person to
got
go
the-
meet those
yeah.
folks, right?
I'd be so happy just to see her showing up at the door.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
nice.
And then, of course, everyone's favorite new team member this past year, we've had Brownie in the office, and we love having her here. The residents love it. When people sign leases, she sits in their lap. And so here's a little video just about what Brownie does in the office.
All day.
I love this. So funny.
So we made that video for National Bring Your Dog to Work Day. There was a contest that one of the local groomers ran. And so we submitted that, we won, so Brownie got free grooming.
And they were so, because they had only gotten videos or photo submissions, and we were the only video. The owner of the store called our office and was like, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing! Come pick up your gift cards." So,
We need to get a dog contest at a dentist, so Brownie can get.
Right.
She has brown
So look out
teeth.
for that.
She has brown teeth. It's okay.
We just turn away from you.
There are 2 pieces of wood, Rhonda, because Brian doesn't want to take her to the dentist. Little wood chips in there.
All right, so next up is the competition. Brian, what are you gonna talk about that?
It's so funny in that video, all the UPS, FedEx, and Postal Service all have treats for Brownie when they come into our
So,
office.
like 3
Like
days,
that's it,
3
yeah,
times
she
a
gets
day.
3 times a day, she
As
gets
long as she
her
can
treat.
eat.
With
That's
bacon
why her
in the
tutu
morning.
doesn't fit.
We're gonna have to get her new clothes come winter. for
We
sure.
need to put her on an exercise routine. She needs to do the workout, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to be going over the competition today. Obviously, you guys know how important our competition is. So you saw on one of the slides that 30% or a little over 30% of our residents actually lead for our competition. So what I'll go over today is our current status, our competitors, the 4 bedrooms, and then some of the new communities that we have. So the big 5, the 5 that we compete with on a daily basis, Neighborhood Properties, also known as University Apartments, is 100%, but they weren't 100% fully leased till last July. Woodard, Grand Mark, Woodard's at 95% pre-lease, Grand Mark's at 99.2, and then obviously CBS and Bellevue are not as big as the other ones, so they actually finished in November, and then Bellevue finished off in January. So these are basically 12 communities that have 4 bedrooms that we feel are most competitive, I guess, communities that we have to go against. Now, if you look at some of these, like 1115 Portland, they're on the high end for the biggest 4 bedrooms. Now, this is not including Uncommon, South Range, those new communities. These are like established communities that, you know, have been here for a while. Greenhouse, Warehouse, Grand Mark, but Grand Mark is actually still leasing. But one trend is that you notice is that every single one of these people finished in September. So that's why it is so crucial that we are fully staffed, ready to rock and roll come September, because if we miss this mark, you know, we could miss by 1 community, and you could see that could be 12 or even double that number that we lost in concessions or in reduced rates. So a little more information about by the bedroom. So our average overall last couple of years of the 4 bedrooms have been 3.47 GP increase. Last year alone, we were able to raise that to 6.25, which is awesome, because that was in-season leasing. We were able to go above what we were required to do to get that extra income for MSC. Our average renewal is usually around 48-50%, so that's pretty standard. But one thing you notice, September, we were all done in our 4 bedrooms in September.
It's crazy.
So a little more about the outsiders, I call them, South Range, City Walk, and the Flats. So South Range, you know, is one of the most prime locations right next to Woodrow. They're getting for their 2 bedrooms, 2,300 is one of their highest 2 bedrooms over there. It's very nice hardwood floors, tall ceilings. It's 100% pre-lease moving forward. City Walk, you know, obviously they control that side of town, the Belmont area. They're really up and coming. As far as, you know, the new nightlife for young professionals, the empty nesters who graduate college and, you know, they don't live with mom anymore, they move out, and this is where a lot of them are going. The Flats. Now the Flats, I remember just being so worried about the Flats when they came in. They are struggling at 83% or 82% pre-lease for next year. So I was like, well, that's really strange, because I also got a phone call from one of my friends saying the Flats was at the bus stop at 6 o'clock in the morning handing out promo items. So we looked at their Google reviews. They're horrible. They're like 2.3 Google percent on their Google reviews. They're 2 stars, I'm sorry. And so basically what they're saying is that it's poorly built. The staff, the customer service staff, you can't get any answers out of them. No one knows what's going on. It's loud. There's broken gym equipment. The pool's dirty. There's trash everywhere. During the wintertime, there's windows. It's drafty in there because it wasn't poorly built. The fire alarm.
From the garage. Oh, that was the story from a friend of mine.
Yeah, they get towed all the time. They charge $100 for guest spots. A fire alarm went off 2 to 3 times a month for an entire year. So basically, people weren't even evacuating the building when the fire alarm went off. And this would
Northwood's got a lot
happen
of
from like
traffic
2 to
from
4
them.
in the morning.
Northwood's got a
So
lot of
they-
traffic from the Flats
They got
recently.
pretty much bashed, and as you can see, they're
Yeah, we were getting a lot of traffic from them. And it was the same things you're saying, it was like problem after problem after problem.
right. So they changed management. I've heard it's better, but obviously they have some rebuilding to do over there. And it's such a nice facility that you get wowed when you get there, but then you live there and you realize, oh, well, the gym equipment hasn't worked in 6 months, and, you know, the pools gets nasty, and you know.
Reviews are huge. People,
Yeah,
you know,
so it's
people live in
extremely important to
So when they
think.
say poorly built, is there like noise complaints between the floors?
It's
and
not
stuff?
that, it's like, the windows are drafty,
Gotcha. Furniture? not
furniture's
good?
trash, like it breaks, that, you know, it looks really nice because you get a new TV, you get nice furniture, but then it doesn't
Low
last.
quality.
Right, exactly.
So they're only 82% leased for
Next year.
16, 17.
Yeah,
right
that's a scary number.
They're, so, that 98% occupied.
Is right now, yeah.
Right, it's the
They're
people
all
who didn't know better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Didn't read the reviews.
It is true. Those reviews probably weren't up there when they got to
They're not.
98.
What was it last year, the year before, they had all those people up at Wild Wing during our turnover party?
Yeah,
Was that
yeah.
last year?
Yeah, that
before,
was,
right?
no, that was 2 years
Is
ago.
that 2 years?
Yeah,
Well, I know
They
some
couldn't move
people
in.
that work there that have left, and they said it was awful.
yeah.
There's a lot of people that have worked there and left and been
Well, and
fired.
they pay them these really high salaries to go there and work there, and then they work on like 90 hours a week, and they're like, we.
Well, they're
they
open 7
quit.
days a week.
I know.
Well, yeah.
All right, so obviously, as you know, the Uncommons is opening up. They're actually kicking off or opening doors Friday. So we have a tour. They wouldn't let us come in until Monday, so we're coming in Monday. But you know, this one could be potentially just like the flats. You know, they don't do it right. I think they learned their lesson from the flats. Is like, you know, going high quality. They have Tempur-Pedic mattresses in there. Going HD smart TVs. You know, they're not putting just regular bottom line stuff in there. They're gonna have a nice Starbucks coffee bar downstairs. They're gonna have a pool on the deck. You know, upgraded fitness center, golf simulator. It's gonna be really kind of high end over there. The standard.
How many units do you?
That's
that's
it's
the
168 units.
I also heard that the Uncommon was not going to be complete on time, and that they had leased space from Grand Mark for their residents.
I talked to them yesterday. They're 100% pre-leased and they're moving everybody in
Okay.
Friday.
Then maybe they did that.
She didn't sound like she was freaking out. So.
Okay.
she was like, well, yeah, if you guys can come on Monday. I was like, we can't come today. No, just come Monday.
She's
So
like Pam
maybe.
Woodrow, hey, you have a half an hour before you.
Nah, well, that's what no one has told me that, but
Okay, good, well, maybe they.
that's some inside info.
They're moving in Friday?
It's Friday.
Well, we'll see them at the turnover party.
Right, we'll drive by them.
Been there before.
Because the Flats literally had the news station out there, like, basically protesting because they had everybody lined up on the street and they wouldn't move them in, because they didn't get their, I think it
And they
was,
said it's a wild one, but they eat our food.
basically.
Good.
I wanna see a picture of that rooftop pool.
We can, I can show you. Well, you can come with us on Monday, check it out. So the Standard at West Main, another new property that's gonna be completed, they're thinking, spring of 2018, and it's gonna be right across from the Flats. You know, it's gonna be another one of these projects that kind of, right across, right in that little West Main area. Some other properties of note, 1725 JPA, which is, you know, obviously Richie Bursum, he's doing a redevelopment on JPA. Something I found interesting is the Fifth Street Plaza. You know, Fifth Street, the Wegmans, the Petco,
Bring it. I'm
Dick's,
so excited.
Mattress
Oh.
Warehouse, like, this area is really kind of developed. This is gonna be a 5 apartment building project that they're really kind of planning on targeting students as well. Students, grads, and empty nesters was their actual term. But I heard on the radio this morning that when people graduate, they have too much student loans, so they have to move in with their parents, so that's gonna be sorry for them. So Morgan Plaza, which is gonna bring a new atmosphere for the downtown mall area. They're gonna be the new host for the city, or the Seville Market. This is a project by Woodard. I'm sure you guys heard about it right now. They're
We
reading.
drive in it every day.
Right, yeah. So it's gonna be 68 apartments, it's also gonna have commercial space, it's gonna be providing parking as well, but, you know, it's gonna bring a whole different kind of upscale, I think, kind of different look, according to like the pictures and what
And
I've
that
heard.
is literally the parking lot where we parked our
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Well, right next to it, I thought.
Yeah. It's it,
It's gonna take both those spots?
everything. Both parking lots, the hill.
You know the owner.
Right in there somewhere, I don't know. Probably the
Works on
garage.
Alrighty, so another, 2 properties of note, 925 East Market Street. Another Keith Woodard property, he's in, forget who the development company is, oh, CMB Development. 54 luxury apartments with also 20,000 square feet of Class A office space. Projected time, spring of 2018. East Jefferson Street. Now this, I'm almost positive, do you guys know where the Little Hill neighborhood is? Okay. Well, do you know where SNL is? It's supposed to be right around that area. So that's 104 units. Now, this is not set in stone, this is just proposed.
Down near City Walk, basically, down in that area.
Yeah, right, yeah, more on that.
That's
They
how
put
it's-
that other community in right there not too long ago.
Yeah.
I forgot the name it's called.
So, you know, there's a lot of new developments coming. People like new, but they don't like those high prices. So I think, you know, with MSC, you know, you have these top of line properties coming in, but we're able to kind of move up to their level, because if we don't move up, then there's really, they have no other place to go. So we got a lot of room to grow, I think, within the marketing department. And then UVA by the numbers by Miss Jamie Johnson.
Good job, Ryan.
Same
Congratulations.
excuses last year, that I was pregnant, so don't ask questions.
That's right, you did.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of recap on some of the things I went over last year, numbers, as far as on grounds versus off, enrollment numbers, and development and growth. So, it's really expensive to go to UVA and live there. So the top part where it says, College of Arts and Sciences, this is for entering, this is for first year. So residents total with living expenses, tuitions, and fees is $28,932. For out-of-state students, it's anywhere between $58,518 and $59,498. Then living expenses, this is just tuition, it's the same as far as living on grounds for non-student and, out-of-state students and in-state students, but it's, the fees are a little bit different, but it varies between $14,556 to $15,726, and that's just per semester. And then, of course, you get into the higher numbers if you're going to different schools. So the McIntyre School and engineering, they can vary from $32,000 to almost $65,000 a year. This is enrollment projections for this year. So UVA typically always gives us a projected number of enrolled students, and historically it's always a lot lower than their projections. So last year was 22,079. There was actually only 21,985. So this chart over here is potential incoming grad students, with the majority being like other grad programs. And then the next largest is the law school, followed by Darden, and then the med school. And then this is all undergrads, so undergrads and then transfers and first year students. And then the projection for, didn't see that on here, but 2017, the projection is 24,273, so they're shooting pretty high for next year.
That's a lot.
Mhm.
Wow.
But
is
you
that-
said they always.
They always
And they
over.
always fall
Yeah.
short.
Yeah, but they only
But it was
fell
a short
short by
start,
less
yeah.
than, you know,
Mhm.
hard.
When you have projection for 2016.
Oh, yeah, so that's what the numbers are for this year. We don't have the finalized numbers until, I guess, when they all come back, this fall, so it hasn't.
So
Well,
they're,
I guess I'm just wondering if they always exaggerate the number,
Yeah.
that's, you know,
Cause that's lower.
But
Yeah,
that's
it
a lot
is
lower.
So it'll probably be a little bit above that, probably not too much. So their numbers every year have been up and down, up and down.
So a 24 would be.
Yeah, 24
but I
is a
mean,
lot.
it's not that much difference in what they projected. I mean, it's, what is that, 200?
They're shooting for the stars for next year.
Yeah, no kidding. Well,
24,000.
they must, they wouldn't have said that if they weren't gonna accept a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of gonna go over, like, I don't know why the numbers are so high for that, because I'm gonna go over growth and development as far as the dorm renovations. So Gooch Dillard phase 2 was complete ahead of schedule, and so they're working on phase 3 now, but they're not changing the amount of rooms in any of these, in any of the dorm renovations. So Gooch Dillard was built in 1984 to accommodate 658 first years. Still gonna be the same amount of people, but instead of it being single beds, they're knocking down walls, so it's all gonna be double occupancy now. And then the same thing with McCormick Road, they were built in the 50s, so they're just updating the systems in the buildings, updating their dining hall, and then it's gonna, they're all 6-story, 4 resident, it's 6-story, 4 resident halls, and then it's gonna be